1-2 of the 3 so far. Welcome back to Minute Maid Park in Houston. The home debut as an Astro of Doug Fister facing this Kansas City starting lineup. Alcides Escobar, the shortstop. Mike Moustakas at third base. Lorenzo Cain's the center fielder. The cleanup man is first baseman Eric Hosmer. With Kendrys Morales the DH, Alex Gordon in left field, Salvador Perez the catcher, Omar Infante at second base, Paulo Orlando is the right fielder, and the pitcher will be Ian Kennedy. Here's the first pitch now of the game, and it is strike one from the big Doug Fister. You talked about him, Ash, a minute ago. He is 6'8". He has been with Washington the last couple of years, but earlier in his career was with Seattle and Detroit.
Yeah, Brownie, impressive stuff 2 years ago. 16-6 that year. Great ERA in the 240s. So obviously the Astros would love to see him repeat those numbers.
That pitch is down, and he gets a swing and a miss, and a strikeout of Escobar on 3 pitches.
A little bit of what was talked about in terms of what the Astros would love to see from Doug Fister. Taking a look now at our MD Anderson strike zone as Doug Fister gets the strikeout on that slider. Good bite downward to get that bat started.
Moustakas follows. The Royals are 6-2. They head to Oakland after this game. In the air off the bat of Moustakas, back behind the plate. Castro to the screen, and he won't have a shot at it. Strike one to Moustakas. Fister in his career 3-6 against Kansas City with a 3.73 ERA. He's made 13 appearances, 12 starts against this Royals club. And in that first outing at Milwaukee, he was a 6-4 winner, allowing 3 runs in 5 innings, including a Scooter Gennett home run, as Gennett did his Rogers Hornsby impersonation of that series. Boy, he was something. And for a strike, it's 0-2.
He did play at a high level.
He certainly did. Rake hit a couple of home runs. In the dirt, 1-2. What a perfect night, Ash.
Gorgeous. Take your shirts off and come to the ballpark. No shirt on this ballpark.
Just magnificent. Last year the Astros were 9-3 with the roof open. High to right field. George Springer's going to run out of room on this one. At the wall, leaping, and that one is in for a home run. Moustakas hits number 3. It's 1-0 Kansas City. Springer had springs in his legs, but that one was a little too far for him to get a glove on it.
Taking a look now at our mattress firm Supermo as we watch home run number 3 on the year from Mike Moustakas. Slider, you can see that rotation, the spiral rotation, just left up a bit, and Moustakas able to get to it. That lack of velocity causes Doug Fister to have to be very sharp at all times.
Big cut by Lorenzo Cain on a breaking pitch. There's Springer.
Well, you're right, he did get up.
Cain lines one into right field, and it's back-to-back hits for the Royals. Cain's 3rd hit of this 4-game series. He's aboard for Eric Hosmer now.
Cain has had a big 3-run home run in the series to help win a ball game for KC. That was gorgeous hitting going the other way.
After the big cut on that first pitch, he took it the other way on that second one. Now it's Hosmer. He's had 6 hits in the first 3 games of this series, up to a .333 batting average for the season. He's on a 4-game hitting streak. Nice breaking pitch, works for strike 1 for Fister.
There's part of that philosophy, throwing strikes with something other than just fastball after fastball.
And especially the first pitch to these Kansas City hitters. That's a good way to start them if it's in the zone. That one's in the zone, and it's 0-2 as well. Hosmer has hit Fister well, .348 lifetime, 1 homer, 4 runs batted in.
One of the other things mentioned on Doug Fister is work quickly, engage the defense.
This one kicks away from Castro, and Cain advances on the wild pitch to second. First wild pitch for Fister this season puts Cain in scoring position, and the count is 1-2 on Hosmer. Kansas City club has been the best road team in the majors since 2013, winning 135, losing 110. It's 2-2. Richard Justice pointed out the Royals since July 30th of 2014 have had a record of 159 and 99, 60 games above 500. In 2013 they won 86 games, then they won 89 and 14, and last year 95. They've increased their win total 6 years in a row. Fastball spins around Hosmer, and that makes it a full count.
Well, it's really intriguing, though. I imagine a lot of baseball people are trying to figure out exactly how they've done it. Again, we mentioned it last night. KC last year scored less runs than the Astros and gave up more runs, and yet the team that wins the World Series. But they win close games. They've got a great bullpen, and that's probably their strength.
There's a shot into right field. Springer charging, comes up with it. Stop sign at third base. The throw off the mid of White. It's backed up by Pfister. Play at the plate. Backhanded flip. And the tug by Castro. They got him. Tremendous play by Pfister, reacting as the ball went off White's mitt, and he went for it and made the backhanded flip to Castro.
The Astros lost a ball game last night in good part because of a play that's similar. A pitcher trying to make kind of the spectacular play, and maybe last night it didn't need to be made. Tonight the play by Pfister with the little backhanded flip, just ideal, and comes in a slot early in the ball game that can really change things. That's a gem. A lot on this throw from George Springer, but offline, and it gets further offline once Tyler White can't come up with it.
Well done by Castro on the tag. Hosmer went to second base on that throw. Now Kendrys Morales with strike one.
Watch it all day long. And yeah, you're right. For Jason Castro, that's one of those plays where you've got to go one-handed. Dive, get the extension that the one-handed play gives you, and hope for the best.
Line, and Altuve couldn't catch it. He throws to first and gets him anyway. Balls flying all over the park here in the first inning. The Royals wind up with a run on 3 hits. They leave a man, and they're in front 1-0. Moustakas, and now the Astros come up against Ian Kennedy with this starting lineup, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Jose Altuve had another hot night last night, 3 more hits. He's the leadoff man and second baseman, followed by right fielder George Springer, shortstop Carlos Correa, left fielder Colby Rasmus, first baseman Tyler White, DH Preston Tucker, center fielder Carlos Gomez, third baseman Marwin Gonzalez, catcher Jason Castro.
On the mound for Kansas City, 31-year-old right-hander Ian Kennedy. He's been around, and he's had success also in the big leagues. Successful in his first start on the season, that's for sure. Beating Minnesota, a 7-0 win for the ball club. And he was in his shutout effort, 6 2/3 innings of 5-hit ball.
Jose Altuve is tied for the league lead in runs scored with 10 coming into today's games. 297 for the season, 2 homers, 4 runs batted in for Altuve. Ian Kennedy really dialed it up in his debut with the Royals. Shut out the Minnesota Twins on Saturday, allowing 5 hits in 6 2/3 innings, walking 1, fanning 7 for his first win as a Royal. Altuve fouls it back. It was interesting to hear from Jose on the field today. We were standing there with Craig Biggio. Jose walked by and talked about his 2 doubles a la Biggio last night. He also had a homer, and really that second double of the game in the 7th inning was a hustle double, Ash.
He jokingly said everything he hits is going to be a double this year. He's going to hold on the triples and go on the singles.
2-1. Well, as Mr. Biggio said, Mr. Double. You make those doubles out of the batter's box. We had that replay on him last night. He was flying out of the box on his first step.
Now the ball he hit up on the tracks yesterday, going to have a hard time holding and turning that into a double.
This one's out to center field, chasing Kane back. Kane with a retreating catch, 1 out. Kennedy certainly held the Twins spellbound. That was his first outing after signing a 5-year deal for $70 million. Jeff Blum up there? We haven't heard from him yet. Roof deck view. Special place. George Springer's the batter. They look down from there on George, who brings a .216 average into this at bat. 1 homer, 5 runs batted in for George. And the fastball's off the plate, ball 1. Kennedy last year averaged 91 on his fastball.
Just a notch under 92 in that first outing against the Twins.
In for a strike, and it's 1-1. Kennedy's 31 years old, from Los Angeles. He went to Southern Cal.
Front side is flying open early for George.
They might not be noticing up there.
No, they're not. I have a feeling that they're thinking about other things.
2 balls and a strike. They don't appear to be into hitting mechanics right now, Ash.
Could be barbecue, but I don't see any signs of that either. Here it comes.
Springer shoots a line drive, and it's caught on the fly by Moustakas. 2 outs. George couldn't find a hole for that one. And it's Carlos Correa next. Ian Kennedy was drafted by the Yankees in the first round in '06. They traded him to Arizona in a 3-way deal. And in 2011, Kennedy was 21-4 for the D-backs. For his career, 76 and 68 with a 3.96 ERA.
How do you go 21-4 and be 4th in the Cy Young Award voting?
Yeah.
That's what he was that year.
That's crazy. Who won it that year? 2011.
Well, let's check that out.
That was before Kershaw, right?
BC?
Yeah, BC. BK. That's Correa taking strike 1. Correa, a .314 hitter with 3 homers, has 6 runs batted in. He's tied for 6th in total bases in the American League with 22.
Yeah, a little bit of the bad news for Ian Kennedy is it was not BK. It was Clayton Kershaw who won the award.
Okay, it was Kershaw.
Followed by Roy Halladay and Cliff Lee. That was a strong season.
Boy. 1 ball, 1 strike on an ideal night at Minute Maid Park. Detroit's in over the weekend. The roof will be open tomorrow night. Those are the plans anyway, unless something crazy happens. The Astros have won 3 and lost 6. Fouled, and it's 1-2. And in this series, they won the opener 8-2. They got things rolling with a 2-run first and played out on. 3-run first in that opener and played out on as Colin McHugh was the winner. Colby Rasmus is on deck. Out to center field. Kane turning for the catch for a 1-2-3 first. 1-0 Kansas City.
Kansas City over the Astros. A look at our fan cam now, presented by GulloAuto.com. Right up there on that, what do we call that deck again?
The roof deck.
The roof deck. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I guess I could have guessed that.
You ever been up there?
I have never been up there. It's a fantastic view of the ballpark, isn't it?
You can't beat that one. Special place.
Probably wouldn't want to call balls and strikes from that vantage point.
Well, if you did, that would be ball one to Alex Gordon. Gordon at .231 has 1 RBI, and he's had good numbers against Pfister. Well, not that great, 8 for 33. .242 average. 1 ball, 1 strike. Gordon is 3 for 9 in this series. He's drawn 3 walks. Pfister gave up some hard hit balls in that first inning. He helped himself on that play at the plate. 2 balls and a strike.
Helped his teammates in a big way too with that fine play. The fastball right now is running between about 83 and 86.
Curveball is low, and it's a 3-ball, 2-strike count. Scott Feldman went 6 1/3 last night and did not give up an earned run. He made an error and 2 unearned runs scored in that 6th inning. Kansas City won it 4-2. Mike Fiers went 6 innings Tuesday night. Liner caught on Marwin Gonzalez. The shift was on, and that was a power shot to the opposite field.
You want to learn how to stay on a breaking ball and hit it sharply. That was a great example by Alex Gordon. And then the defense takes over. We know Marwin can play anywhere and do it well.
Salvador Perez, the catcher who provided the game-winning 2-run homer last night, begins the night at .222 with 1 homer, 4 runs batted in. That home run last night, the only hit he's had in this series. He rolls that one to third. Marwin Gonzalez here. On to Tyler White. A reminder now, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game. It's brought to you by Miller Lite. Yeah, Pfister signed that deal after the first of the year in January as a free agent to join the Astros, and his new teammates commented this spring that they loved his pace on the mound. He does work quickly.
Yeah, he'd be fun to play behind. I was thinking the same thing watching him work, and I've thought it in the past while he was with other clubs. He just goes right after it.
Omar Infante looks at ball 1. He's on a 5-game hitting streak. .280 with 2 runs batted in for Omar. He has 1 hit in each of the 3 games in this series. That comes in for a strike. One thing that Doug Pfister talked about this spring was using the top part of the strike zone more.
I think that's hard though when you're topping out about 86, 87 with your fastball.
That comes in for a strike, and it's 1-2. The Royals are 10th in runs scored, and that's not that big a deal 8 games into the season. But they've outscored their opponents by 5 runs, and they're 4 games over 500. There's the big hop coming up from Marwin. He turns it into out number 3, and he makes all 3 plays in the inning with the score 1-0 Kansas City.
Astros coming to bat here in the second inning. Academy Sports and Outdoors and the Houston Astros are hitting home runs for Houston. There you go. You see the leaders on the club right now. Carlos Correa, Colby Rasmus, and Tyler White all tied with 3. Let's break out and move that number up to 4, maybe 5 tonight.
Sounds like a good design offensively for this game.
You got to have a plan, right, Brownie?
Yep. Colby Rasmus has been executing his plan quite well in the early games this year. Upstairs, ball 1 to Colby, a .333 hitter with 3 homers, 7 runs batted in. He is 7th in on-base average and 5th in slugging in the American League, to go with those numbers you see. And he's had a nice series, going 4 for 10. Infield plays him to pull. Infante out in shallow right field. Sharp breaking ball misses, and it's 2-0 to Colby. Colby has walked 7 times. That's 2nd in the American League, getting that show of respect. Ian Kennedy was scheduled to be the number 2 starter, but he was moved back because of some tightness in his left hamstring at the end of spring training. It certainly didn't deter him from that excellent start against the Twins on Saturday. He threw 109 pitches in shutting out Minnesota. The bullpen certainly could be an issue for Kansas City tonight, with multiple relief appearances throughout the first 3 games of this series. 4-pitch walk to Rasmus. Kennedy's been good at limiting the walks throughout his career, averaging just about 1 every 3 innings.
And he walked just 1 in that start against Minnesota.
Yeah, he did. Tyler White, with a runner at first, comes up at .483, second best average in the American League. 3 homers, 10 runs batted in. He's 2nd in total bases as well, with 26. White has 14 hits already in the first 9 games for the Astros. White looks at ball 1. If his family is keeping a scrapbook, it's probably already half full.
I was thinking they probably, you go back to spring training and all, they've got a loaded book.
They might have a few books. It's 2 balls, no strikes. What a special time, too, for his family to be able to go to Yankee Stadium and see that debut. Gorgeous view from there, from atop the old train station. Trains used to come into Houston right into that very building. Right there for a strike. That makes it 2-1 on Tyler White. American League Player of the Week in his first week in the majors. First rookie position player to win that award his first week in the majors.
It's called setting your standards high.
Boy. 3 balls, 1 strike. Well, these 2 teams have 1 more series to go against each other, and that will come at Kansas City in June 24th through the 26th. Big cut makes it 3 balls, 2 strikes to Tyler White.
Surprised me to see White swing through this thing. There's the 4-seamer off to the side, so you still get a little bit of run with that pitch, but it doesn't sink on you.
Now 3-2, and Rasmus does not have a big lead at first. He's going. Swing and a miss. Perez's throw is there, and the tag is waiting for a strikeout throw-out double play from 2 to 4.
2 fastballs thrown right by Tyler White over the bat, and then you put it in the hands of Perez, and he's going to get a lot of guys, especially on an opportunity like this. No crow hop, just plants the right foot and guns. It's a good look right there at exactly what Perez saw in front of him.
Perez won his 3rd Gold Glove last year. And you see the tag on the chest of Rasmus by Infante. Now Preston Tucker with strike 1 with a .300 batting average, has 2 homers, 3 runs batted in. Preston's 1 for 6 in this series. He started at DH last night and again tonight, with Evan Gattis doing that catching work before the games. Carlos Gomez is on deck. In for strike 2. We'll have to check that this could be the 10th different lineup A.J. Hinch has used in 10 Astros games. He has Marwin in there at third base, but Marwin has started, so we'll have to see if the combination's any different. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The Astros are 5th in runs scored in the American League, and in fact they lead the league in total bases, and here's the surprise, they lead the league in walks. A punch out is number 2 of the night for Kennedy, and after 2 innings it's 1-0 Kansas City.
Orioles lead the Astros 1-0, and it's time to take a look at our Chevy Stroh poll. Make sure to head over to the Root Sports SW Twitter page. Get your vote in. It's the pinned tweet. Today's question, which Astros outfielder makes the best catches? This is tough. Carlos Gomez, Jake Marisnick, George Springer. They've all made some pretty highlight reel-worthy catches for the Astros. We're going to show you some highlights with the winner later. Let's go to Brownie and Christy in the booth.
Yeah, Christy Feliz joining us. Thanks, Julia. And Christy always tells us what's coming up on the weekend games. In this case, the Detroit Tigers are here. There's ball 1 to Paulo Orlando. And Detroit brings a very good team to Minute Maid Park.
And just like they're bringing a good team, we're going to bring a good lineup of giveaways for our fans this weekend, too. I've got some to share with you guys here tonight. And I'm going to have to do it in quick order, it looks like. We're working fast this time.
Go for it.
We're going to start off on Friday the 15th with our first Friday night fireworks of the season after the game with a Songs About Texas theme. So we're really excited to bring those back. But to kick it off, it is Jackie Robinson Day. We've got Mayor Sylvester Turner throwing out the first pitch that day. And our very first Keuchel's Corner of the year.
Oh.
So we've got a special Cy Young edition Keuchel's Corner t-shirt that fans that purchase in that section will get, along with their Keuchel beard, of course. So still have some tickets available for that section. We're really excited to get that kicked off again this year, and happy that he's come back with the beard in full force. So this Keuchel's Corner edition t-shirt.
Very nice. Cy Young.
Cy Young edition t-shirt, yes. So happy to get that started again. And that's presented by Houston Methodist this year. So happy to have them on board with us for this season and that promotion. And then moving into Saturday, we'll have our trucker cap giveaway, and that's presented by the Smile Generation. A good looking trucker cap here for anyone who wants to wear it around the pool this summer. It's a great looking Houston skyline on there. So I think this really matches what you've got on tonight, Brownie. You should wear this the rest of the
I love the netting. Yeah, it's going to be cool for the summer.
Exactly,
You're right.
exactly.
Well designed, well designed.
So that'll be on Saturday. And then we'll end it on Sunday with a green tote bag, which is presented by Houston Methodist as well. It's a nice green tote bag you can take with you to the grocery store. Pretty good quality. So that'll be our Sunday giveaway.
Well, that's pretty large, too.
It is. You can fit a lot in there. It's brought all of my swag up in here tonight. Exactly.
Yeah, perfect for that.
So Friday night fireworks in Keuchel's Corner on Friday, Saturday trucker cap, Sunday green tote bag. Really excited about everything we have going on there, and also want to remind everyone with kids ages 5 to 12 that we do have our Coca-Cola Astros Buddies memberships available for you. It's a great value with tickets to games, the Buddies backpack, lanyard, and some great looking kids socks. George Springer is our featured Buddy of the Year this year, so we're excited to have him on board. So you'll get newsletters with fun facts about George and lots of good stuff. So be sure to check that out at astros.com/buddies.
Sounds great, Christy. Good fastball there. Pfister made a nice play to get Escobar, and then Tyler White helped him out at first with the scoop. And it's 1-2 on Moustakas. And this weather is a gorgeous promotion in itself, isn't it?
It's really amazing. It's great to see the roof open.
Yeah.
The weather cooperated with us tonight, so hopefully it'll cooperate with us again tomorrow with an open roof for those fireworks, like I said.
Yeah. 2 balls, 2 strikes. It's a wonderful opportunity to come out on the first home weekend of the season.
Absolutely. And if you've not been to Keuchel's Corner yet, I highly recommend you check it out. It is incredible energy in that location, super fans backing our ace, and if you've never worn a fake beard in your life too, I think that's something that everyone should try. And to be able to honor his Cy Young Award with this special edition t-shirt is really great. We're looking forward to this promotion all year long too. We'll have a few different t-shirt designs throughout the season, so really encourage folks to really pay attention to whenever he's getting started, and we'll have different t-shirts throughout the year.
And he was 15-0 at home in the regular season.
Let's see if we can start that again, shall we?
Thanks, Christy.
Thank you.
Look forward to the weekend. Line drive out to Rasmus, retires Moustakas, 1-0 Kansas City. Back in a moment. Baseball on Root Sports is presented by Jack in the Box. Taste the Baconlicious Sourdough Bacon Ranch Combo only at Jack in the Box. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Alan Ashby back with us. Christy Feliz told us about the weekend. This is the 10th different lineup that has been confirmed now by A.J. Hinch in the first 10 Astros games. 1-0 Kansas City, and it's the 7, 8, 9 hitters. Carlos Gomez leading it off in the bottom of the 3rd. Carlos with a 188 average, has no homers, no runs batted in, 3 for 9 against Kennedy in his career, with 2 runs batted in against Kennedy. And the fastball works for strike one. You mentioned earlier, Ash, he's throwing in the low 90s, but seems to have some hop on that fastball tonight.
He's had good location as well. Number of pitches that he's missed with, talking about Kennedy, just out of the strike zone, but he's bringing the quality pitches.
Shortstop Escobar goes out and calls for it. One down for Kennedy.
Of course, we know that Carlos Gomez has been scuffling with the bat, and right there, that first pitch that he swung at, the left hand came off the handle. That's unusual.
Marwin Gonzalez is the batter, starting at third base tonight. Luis Valbuena getting a rest. Marwin is hitting .091 for just a few at-bats this year. He was out for some early hitting, as was Luis Valbuena. Marwin was a pinch hitter last night, hit a fly ball that was caught in the 9th inning. He takes, and it's a strike. He looked really good hitting in spring training this year.
Swung the bat great from both sides of the plate, hitting with power. Played, I was going to say solid defense, but really spectacular at times.
Yeah, that's not a worry with him, is it?
Not a bit.
This is his third start of the year. He started once at first base. This is his second start at third base. Fifth opening day roster for Marwin Gonzalez, who takes that one in the dirt, and it's a 1-1 count. Marwin is a .292 career hitter against Kansas City pitching. Jason Castro is on deck. Well, the Detroit Tigers are now 4-0 on the road. They're off to a 6-2 start. Jordan Zimmermann led their shutout pitching today. Well, he was a shutout pitcher, but they didn't throw a shutout. They beat Pittsburgh 7-4. But Jordan Zimmermann really could be quite an acquisition. He gave up no runs in 6 innings. He has an ERA of 0 in his 2-0 start.
Miguel Cabrera healthy for 162 would be a big acquisition.
So it's going to be Alan Ashby, Jeff Blum, and Julio Morales this weekend for Friday night, Dallas Keuchel and Mike Pelfrey. Saturday night at 6:10, Colin McHugh and Justin Verlander. Sunday at 1:10, Mike Fiers and Anibal Sanchez.
Time for Dallas Keuchel to set the tone of that series.
Marwin's out in front. It's 2-2.
There's a changeup. We haven't seen a lot of that to this point, but effectively thrown there on a 3-1.
Yep. That's a pitch. That count, hitter would like to get a fastball, and he didn't.
So we call it a changeup, but that's that splitter grip. Throws it from a 4-seam position as well. That's unusual.
Kennedy has pitched great in both of his career starts against the Astros. He's won both with an ERA under 1. Tapped out to second for Infante. 2 down. In fact, he beat Roy Oswalt in 2010 here at Houston when he was with Arizona, 1-0. And then he had another win here at Houston in 2012, giving up 1 run. So Kennedy has really been at his best in those 2 starts. 2 down, and it's Jason Castro back. Castro hit a triple last night, his second triple of the young season. 136, no homers, 1 RBI. He also drew a walk in that game. He came out for a pinch runner in the 7th inning, Jake Marisnick, who scored the tying run. And then Eric Kratz went in behind the plate. But there was a chance that the Astros would have used Evan Gattis to catch if that game had continued. Castro hits one foul.
Yeah, that becomes challenging when you use 2 men in a scenario. One to pinch run or pinch hit, and then another guy comes in to play defensively.
True. So Evan Gattis continues to work on his catching skills. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I hear AJ Hinch. The bottom line is Evan Gattis has done it before, and there's nobody feeling like this is a new transition in his career. That's just not it.
The Astros wanted him to just get in a full season of at-bats and not worry about the possibility of an injury. So they did not use him as a catcher last year. But the plan all along over the winter was to catch him some of the time this season.
Here's one of those close pitches I was talking about from Ian Kennedy, and certainly could have been called strike 3.
2-2 now. Home plate umpires Jim Wolf. Fastball gets a strikeout, and the Astros have sent only 9 men to the plate in the first 3 innings. Jeff Blum joining Ash for the middle 3 with the score 1-0 Royals.
Kansas City lead as we go to the 4th inning. Jack in the Box takes us inside the box score. As we take a look at starting pitching, how about Colin McHugh in that last outing of his, Blummer?
It was a good thing to see, especially after that start that he had out in New York, getting roughed up a little bit. It's good to see these guys coming back to Minute Maid Park. We talked about it before and how comfortable these guys are pitching in these confines of Minute Maid Park, but for whatever reason, getting back home, having those baseballs, the home cooking, I'm not sure what it is, but these guys have figured it out here.
He's Jeff Blum. I'm Alan Ashby. We go to the 4th inning. 1-0 Royals. First inning, 1-out home run by Mike Moustakas, all the scoring on tonight's game. Well, Doug Fister works into the 4th inning, having yielded 3 hits to the Royals. And all 3 of those coming in the first inning, settling in, topping out about 86 with this heater this evening. Matched up against Ian Kennedy, who has been really good through the first 3 innings. A fastball that he's had up in the strike zone, guys are swinging right through.
I think Astro hitters are having a tough time picking the ball up out of Ian Kennedy's hand.
2-1 pitch, little check swing out in front of the plate. Castro calls off Fister and makes a nice play for out number 1.
That was a great play. Castro did a heck of a job popping out from behind there. Called off Fister early, it looked like, too.
Lorenzo Cain can run, and getting down the line, that put the heat on Castro.
Off balance throw, too. Maybe you could put Castro at short.
I don't see that happening anytime soon, but we'll keep that in mind. Speaking of short, we're shortly into the season. Game 10 tonight. 3-6 for the Astros. Of course, you can look at some teams off to poor starts, some good starts as the ground ball goes right side. Backhanded by White onto Fister, and a quick second out in the inning on ground balls. Everybody wants to get off to a good start, but how important is that first 10 games on the season?
It's important, but like you said, I think it's more of a psychological issue, especially if you're looking at the individual, because as a hitter, when you step up to the plate and you see, you know, a $136, you know, a 200, you got to take into account that you've only had maybe 20, 25 at bats up to that point. So, you know, you could go on a tear and go for a 5 for 10 because it's been known to happen, and your average jumps back up. So it's more, for me, it's a little more psychological. But I think it's more important for rookies like a Tyler White, take for instance, for him to get off to a hot start because he's never been here.
Of course, you're talking on that individual side.
Yes.
Team side. The Astros have the excellent year last year, and now the slow start. How impactful can that be?
Well, what do they say? You can't win a championship in April, but you can lose one.
Yeah, it's good.
So,
good response to that.
I mean, if that makes any sense, and I think you and I understand that you can kind of fall behind a little bit if you're expected to win. And the last thing any team wants to do is dig themselves out of a hole early on. But we saw what a great start can do for a ball club last year with these Houston Astros. Went on an absolute tear on that first road trip, and they kind of rode that out the entire way.
So that I was going to visit what you said. It's one of those slogans that lives on. But the Astros may have won themselves into the postseason with that April. Shallow into right field. The play made by Carlos Correa with that shift on. So Correa in right field makes the catch. A 1-2-3 inning turned in by Pfister. It's 1-0 KC.
Brings us our league leaders. Jose Altuve last night lashed out 3 hits. Also showed a lot of hustle and grit from the young man. We know he is a leader on this ball club. Turned around a 96-mile-an-hour fastball up onto the tracks last night, providing all kinds of offense since he's broken into this league. And quite the reliable hitter. And here's a chance to look at some of those league leaders who most 3+ hit games since 2011. Of course, you expect Altuve to be on top. Miguel Cabrera is bringing his talent into town this weekend, so we'll have a chance to see them. A bunch of other really good names on that list.
First pitch of the inning. The Royals on top 1-0. Breaking ball taken for the strike. And I think that speaks to what Kansas City feels about Jose Altuve and his ability to drive the fastball. Close but missing. A ball and a strike. Kennedy has seemed to have a good plan. Not only good plan, but good command throughout the evening. Just missing when he does miss. Altuve, lifetime a .305 hitter. He's simply become one of the game's best. He is already now in his 6th year in the major leagues at 841 hits. So he's got a legit shot. I mean, very good to get to 1,000 this year. And again, that would be 6 years in. So you can start projecting.
Yeah, you really can.
Get a player of this caliber, and I just don't see him dropping off at any point soon. Breaking ball called, strike 3. So he gets that outside corner. I don't think Jose likes the call at all. Out number 1.
Get a better look at it. Out the edge. With a heavy diet of breaking balls in that AB for Altuve.
With one out, it brings up George Springer, who lined out to third base in the first. George trying to heat things up again. 211 the batting average.
Stung the ball in that first at bat. Got a fastball down, turned on it, lined out to third base.
A couple of hits in the opener in this series, and followed with the following night 2 hits. So he does have 4 hits in the series. Had an 0 for 4 last night, a tough one with 3 strikeouts. That front side, to my eye, is flying open early for George.
I just feel like everything in George's world right now is moving extremely fast, and I think that's why that front side might be opening up a little bit. He's picking the ball up early out of the pitcher's hand and trying to go get it early instead of letting that ball travel a little bit.
Okay, so we hear guys talking all the time about slowing the game down. What does that mean to you?
It means seeing the ball as long as you possibly can. I know it sounds crazy, but in baseball, if you slow things down and get that head to settle down a little bit, you're able to see the ball a little bit longer and bring that ball to you.
Would what George did last year when he started hitting the ball to right field, would that qualify exactly as what you're talking about?
Letting the ball get deep, but I think it was a unique situation for George last year because of the broken hand issue. I don't think he was quite 100% when he finished off the season and knew he didn't have the power, so he shortened things up and went up the middle.
Gets jammed here, hits the fly ball shallow in right center, and a heck of a play by Lorenzo Cain, who cut just in front of Orlando, sliding into that play.
Just kind of hoping that one dropped for George. Might open things up a little bit. Hits a fastball, gets blown up. Kind of in that no man's land in shallow center, but Lorenzo Cain comes and gets it nicely.
Yeah, and you could see at the end of that swing for Springer how he was falling backwards and talking about getting blown up or getting beat on the pitch a little bit. But yeah, if you can pick up some hits on swings like that, then you start feeling like you can move forward.
I want to say that just changes the mentality a little bit.
Carlos Correa at the plate with 2 outs, bases empty. First inning home run by Mike Moustakas, all the scoring. Get to center field, second time for Correa tonight, and the second time that Cain makes the play. And a 1-2-3 4th inning. The Astros without a hit yet and not on the board. It's 1-0 Royals.
And if you are coming out to Minute Maid Park, make sure you get over to Street Eats where the new food items are out. And Hawaiian pulled pork tacos, you're looking at some of those. The chicken and beef tacos at El Real are on that table. I'm holding the Hawaiian pulled pork tacos right now. The spicy pork with charred pineapple slaw, sweet chili drizzle, I want to try these out for myself. But they are the flavor of the month. Week ago or so, the season ticket holders voted on a taco. This is what's working right now, guys. So make sure you get here to the ballpark, get you some Hawaiian street style pulled pork tacos. I heard there's lobster rolls coming for the Boston series as well. Chef Dominic always got it going on when it comes to ballpark food.
Thanks a lot, Julia, for the watery mouths here in the booth. 1-0 Royals, make that top of the 5th inning. Alex Gordon at the plate.
Should have been down there the first 3 innings. Tried those out. I missed that.
You, like me, drooling here in the booth.
Yes, those sounded very good.
Gordon takes a strike on the outside corner. 1-2 the count. Doug Fister has really settled in. We mentioned all 3 Kansas City hits coming in the first inning. Since then, 10 in a row retired. And he's working with that nice pace. Mentioned on the pregame show, one of the hopes for Doug Fister is that he'll pound the strike zone with different pitches, different locations, and that was the big thing as he picks up the strikeout. Gordon caught looking, voices his displeasure.
Get to look at the mix that Doug Fister goes out there with, and fastball in Milwaukee through 61% of the time. Wonder if that had anything to do with falling behind, but right now he's showing good command, going to that curve quite a bit more. But we've talked about it all series on how well these Kansas City Royals hit the fastball, therefore go to the breaking ball. That's that 2-seam runner that comes back out over the plate.
Not sure what Alex Gordon was displeased with there.
Caught too much of the plate.
Too much. Yeah, it ran back, it looked like, toward the heart of the plate.
It really did.
0-2 the count as Fister gets ahead again. 2 strikeouts now with that punch out of Gordon. Doug Fister, 32 years of age. Came to the big leagues with Seattle back in 2009. And over his 8 seasons now in the major leagues, 3 games over 500. 66 and 63 for Doug. We talked about that year with the Washington Nationals 2 years ago, 16 and 6. Excellent ERA at 2.41. Then last year fell to 5 and 7, allowing more hits than innings by a fairly wide margin. 120 hits in 103 innings.
Fister's got good postseason numbers too.
Just heard a comment, and maybe because of the height, Fister's 6'8", a reminding maybe back to Scott Ellerton.
Not bad. Ellerton didn't let up that radar gun, but he had quality pitches. He had a great changeup.
Line shot, that's handled by Marwin at third, and 2 outs. We've seen some balls hit sharply, but just another out here. 12 in a row retired for Fister.
Might have been the hanging sinker that got smoked down to Marwin Gonzalez. Nice play.
You know, when Ellerton first showed up on the scene, had a little more velocity than the way it wound up. But as a reliever, he could get guys out with that high heater consistently. And you're right, the changeup was a dominant pitch. Omar Infante at the plate. Little looper back of Altuve. He gets back quickly and makes the play. Another 1-2-3 inning. Doug Fister rolling, but trailing after 4.5, 1-0. City. To the bottom of the 5th we go. We were talking about Scott Ellerton, so why not? Let's go back to August 21st, 2000. Ellerton against Sammy Sosa.
Oh my gosh. Do you realize that it hit the light standard?
It hit up in the lights.
Yes.
I mean, you have to come to this ballpark to see that.
That's truly astonishing. I don't care how far enhanced you are. You have got to annihilate a baseball to hit it that far.
You talking enhanced about doctoring a photo, that kind of enhancement?
Yeah, that would. No, I'm talking about. I mean,
no, not exactly, huh? Yeah, guys get up on the tracks and it's a bomb. That was, what is that? 80 feet above the tracks?
At least.
Colby Rasmus tries to drive one, but hits it in the air to center field. It's not going to be enough in that direction. And out number 1 here in the 5th inning. It'll bring up Tyler White.
We're going to look at Tyler White's forward spray chart. You see the home runs are in red, base hits are in yellow, doubles in blue, but you can see this is a legitimate spray chart, and I think it's a credit to how well Tyler White can swing the bat and knowing what to do when he's in that batter's box. And again, I keep talking about that 1AB we saw where he yanked that foul ball about 450 feet down the left field line, comes back next pitch on an off-speed pitch and goes the other way for the base hit and RBI.
The Astros are without a hit, let's mention, against Ian Kennedy here, 1 out in the 5th inning. They've grounded out 1 time. Lorenzo Cain has 5 putouts in center field. 4 strikeouts along the way.
I was a teammate of Ian Kennedy's in Arizona the year he won.
Oh, the big year?
20 games, yeah.
Now, he was a big sinker baller at the time, was he not?
He does have run on his fastball, and he's another one of those pitchers that gets really low at release point. And I think that causes some issues as far as seeing the ball.
Cain back at the warning track in front of Towles Hill. That's number 6 hauled in by Cain. And out number 2 here in the 5th. And we check in with Julia once again.
Hey guys, Preston Tucker DHing again. Been doing that a lot this season. It's something he had never done before he got called up to the majors last year. That pinch hitting DH role. Something he had to make an adjustment, figure out how to do it. In fact, he watched a lot of Evan Gattis and what Gattis was doing last year. Now seems to be splitting time with Gattis at that DH role right there. But it is something you have to figure out how to prepare for, right guys?
Certainly sounds logical.
And it does, and he's a young hitter too, so he's come up through the ranks. He didn't come up as a designated hitter. He came up as an outfielder, so for him to get to the big leagues and transfer into that DH role, he does have to learn how to become that DH, and sometimes guys have issues with dealing in between at bats because it could be a while sometimes.
Tucker takes a strike. It's a ball and a strike.
Let alone you dwell on the last AB.
And for Preston Tucker, it sounds, at least for the time being, like first base is no longer being considered at all. Got some work there this spring, and apparently it didn't go that well. Tucker has been simply swinging through this fastball of Kennedy this evening. Tucker, one of the 4 strikeout victims on the night.
It's just crazy what pitches the Astros do square up is either right at somebody or deep in center field, which is where you do not want to hit the ball here.
And again, Tucker swings through it. Right up the ladder, Kennedy goes. A 1-2-3 inning with a strikeout. 5 on the night for Kennedy. 1-0 Kansas City. Houston Astros baseball on Root Sports is presented by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Toyota, let's go places. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors, donating $100 for each Astros home run and $200 for each Correa home run to the Houston Children's Charity. To the 6th we go. A first inning home run by Mike Moustakas has provided the game's only run. 1-0 Royals, and the Astros without a hit through 5 against Ian Kennedy. Kennedy at 59 pitches, so that'll be something to watch now as we go to the final 4 innings of this game. Mr. misses away. 2 balls and 1 strike. 3 hits by the Royals in the first inning, and that's been it. The only base runners against Pfister. He's not walked a man.
It's been some interesting first innings in this entire series.
Much of the scoring's been done in the first. Shallow into right center field, and this is going to drop beyond Altuve. And a leadoff single for the Royals, picked up by the 9-hitter Paulo Orlando. So nobody out. Top of the order, Alcides Escobar stands in. Escobar on the night has struck out and grounded out back to the mound.
Curious to see if they try and start something here.
They do try. They have the runner in motion. Springer goes back to make the play on the hit and run. Fires to first, but not in time. Alertly back in Orlando. And out number 1. Now you were dead on. Kansas City trying to make something happen here with the 1-0 lead.
Yeah, I was going to say, we talked about how the only run in the ball game is in that first inning, but this was a situation Orlando can run a little bit. Alcides Escobar is not afraid to swing at that first pitch and does a good job of putting the ball in play. Why not try and start some? Just picked on the wrong outfielder.
That brings up Mike Moustakas. He of the long ball tonight. His 3rd on the season. He also lined sharply to left field when they got him in the 3rd inning. Very quiet in taking that off-speed delivery. Last year, 22 home runs for Moustakas, 82 runs driven in. And that all netted him 21st in the MVP voting in the American League. First time he made the All-Star squad. Now has a 2-0 count. So despite Pfister trailing, you'd have to say very good night to this point. Hit high in the air, shallow in center field. Gomez with the easy play. And out number 2.
Save money and get the games with the best giveaways, including the Award Series bobbleheads with the Astros 10-game Award Series package. Visit astros.com/mini-plans or call 1-877-9-ASTROS to get yours today.
Did Gomez think that was out number 3?
There's a lot of things going on in the skull of that man.
Just appeared he was coming onto that first base dugout and scuffle with the bat. It's hard to keep all the thoughts straight. One base runner for these Royals against Pfister since the final out of the first inning. Hit on the fist, fly ball to right field. Springer comes on and loses another ball in the lights. It drops, being held at third base, and now moving into second base is Lorenzo Cain. And George Springer is just having fits with these lights here at Minute Maid Park.
Man, that's tough. Fisher's been doing a good job. We talked about how he made the adjustment after that first inning when some balls were getting hit hard. Now that sinker's running pretty good and gotten in the kitchen of some of these right-handed hitters. Really got in there on Lorenzo Cain. This should be a sure out to get Fister out of this inning, but you could see the last 3 or 4 feet. George had no idea where that ball was, and he was just guessing, hoping it would go in that glove.
I was watching Colby Rasmussen left field earlier in the game on a ball hit on a line to him. He dropped the eyes way down as far as he could and made the play. Now, that doesn't mean the lights are the same to one side or the other. It's an error charged on George Springer. But runners at second and third now with 2 outs for the cleanup man, Eric Hosmer. Fister from the stretch evens the count at a ball and a strike.
Yeah, you just hope in time playing here at Minute Maid that George is able to find that angle that will keep the ball out of the lights.
Driven to left center field. Gomez going back, not going to get there. 1 hop up against the wall. 2-run score easily. A 2-out, 2-run double by Eric Hosmer, and that advances the lead to 3-0, and all coming following that error to Springer.
Seems like that always happens. It's kind of that fork ball, almost a more like a changeup deep in the hand of Fister. But for me, it's amazing to me in this series, playing against a tough ball club like the reigning world champions, any mistake that happens for the Astros, it seems the Kansas City Royals capitalize on. And in turn, the Astros have had their opportunities, just haven't capitalized on the mistakes by the Royals.
We've talked about it tonight as we have Hosmer at second and Morales at the plate. Again, we reflect back to last year. The Royals won the World Series, but the Astros on the regular season scored more runs than KC and allowed less runs than the Royals pitching staff. And yet the Royals went on and won it all. Winning close games. That's what KC seems to do. And I don't know if that's taking advantage of situations, but when it's all said and done, they find a way to win those close ones. Morales 0 for 2 on the night.
You just hope all the bad luck's getting out of the way early in the season. Get it out of the way in the first couple weeks. Turn the corner somewhere.
You wonder, is there a way, or has it happened already? I don't know. For Springer to talk with the people that have the ability to alter the lights a little bit and maybe straighten things out in right field. Now, we have not seen it happen to the opposing right fielders.
That's a very good point, too, that there are other teams coming in here with the similar issues. Maybe not the same trajectory on the fly balls, but there's also these LED lights in Seattle. Now, Seattle's a little bit different ballpark, and just in the sense that the light standards are much higher. It's tough.
Really deflating for the pitchers when you get what looks like a routine play to end the inning, and then it results in at least a couple of runs. Into right center field. On the move, Gomez. He won't get to this one. It goes to Towles Hill. Coming in to score is Hosmer. Another run-producing double, this one by Morales. And the Royals now lead at 4-0. All runs here in the inning unearned.
Fister missed a spot there, and you see the location. That two-seamer is supposed to be down and away. Didn't really get on top of that one. And when a ball flutters out over the plate like that, a great hitter in Kendrys Morales is going to drive it.
Still 2 outs. Morales in scoring position. Alex Gordon at the plate. Gordon is lined to third and struck out. One of the 2 strikeouts picked up by Doug Fister. Alex Gordon has been a Kansas City Royal his entire major league career. Chris Davinsky now loosening in the Astros pen in right center. Rake down the right field side. That'll drop and go to the wall. Scores Morales easily to make it 5-0. Another double. That's 3 consecutive doubles, all following the error committed by George Springer. Brent Strom coming to the hill.
And just trading places.
Yeah.
Back to back to back doubles.
And this is a tough time to come up with a conversation on the hill. There you see Davinsky getting it loose. He pitched in last night's game and he's showing off some special stuff. Everybody talks about his great changeup, and for good reason, but he was hitting 95 with the heat.
Did you see that in spring?
Not that high.
Yeah, I mean, the ball was jumping out of his hand last night. Of course, to go with that changeup.
I didn't have access to any kind of radar gun in spring training, but he's got an unusual delivery, and I just didn't anticipate that kind of velocity. So as Blummer says, back to back to back, and now Salvador Perez at the plate, 0 for 2 on the night. Had the big home run last night to pick up the win for the Royals. And KC in a position to try to make it 3 out of 4 in this series. 8th hitter of the inning. All 7 hits picked up tonight, picked up by KC, make it 8. Here comes Gordon to the plate. The throw will get on by, not on line at all. That's 6-0 RBI single Salvador Perez. And all the runs in the inning, 5 of them unearned. As A.J. Hinch comes to the mound, he is pointed to the bullpen. He'll bring on Davinsky. And what a tough break for Doug Fister, who pitched until this string of hits extremely well tonight.
Over Houston in the top of the 6th. We have a pitching change. This pitching performance is powered by Kubota. It's about the young man that's now in the ball game, Chris Davinsky. See his first two major league appearances, 4 shutout innings, got 7 punch outs, and you see the unique delivery. There's that changeup. It's been a tough challenge for some big league hitters here early on to face Davinsky with that fastball changeup combination. But even with that funky delivery, he's able to repeat it, have a good release point. Shows great depth on that changeup too, looking to put this fire out right now.
There has been a scoring change, and they have ruled what was originally called an E9 on the ball hit by Lorenzo Cain into a single. So that changes everything as the first pitch from Davinsky is lined into left field. That's a base hit. And the Royals are just stringing them together now, stopping at second base. Perez, 10 hits for the Royals, and the Astros without a single knock on the night. Brings up Paulo Orlando, who started the inning. He picked up a base hit, and on that ball hit by Kane, turned into a base hit now, scored the second KC run.
So with that error becoming a hit, that's 6 straight hits.
6 consecutive, 7 in the inning. There's that great changeup. Davinsky, 25 years of age. Born in Cerritos, California. And he's got the kind of stuff to hang around and do a lot more than just hang around as the pitch is fouled off.
Get a look from behind, see how Davinsky holds that. That's that circle changeup. Make a circle with your thumb and your pointer finger and put the ball in those last 3 fingers of your hand and pretty much have that same arm motion as a fastball. And really takes a lot of velocity on it, and with him falling towards first base, it's a borderline screwball with the way his hand comes off there.
Sure is. Talk about it all the time. Find a grip you trust and then throw it as hard as you can. That fastball almost took a bite out of the hitter. Orlando hitting .294. Tenth hitter of the inning, and the guy who got it all started. There's a drive left center field. Gomez going back hard, just in front of the warning track, and makes the catch. 10 hitters come to the plate, and the Royals plate 5 of them with one very crucial play in the inning. 6-0 KC.
The Houston Astros. MLB.com at bat lets you stay up to the moment on Astros baseball with game day, live game highlights, StatCast news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone or tablet. Guys.
Thank you, Julia. There's George Springer, and obviously it hurts. It hurts him. It hurts Doug Fister, the entire team. George's been battling with the lights and talks it over with his outfield coach, Gary Pettis. One way or another, he's got to get straightened out.
Good guy to talk to, and Gary Pettis has a lot of experience playing a great outfield his entire career, but yeah, it's early. There are adjustments to be made by everybody.
Carlos Gomez gets things started here in the bottom of the 6th inning with a base hit. He's 1 for 2.
First hit of the game.
breaks up that no-hit bid by Ian Kennedy, who had gone through 5 innings without anything at all resembling a hit. Had walked just 1 hitter. That was Colby Rasmus in the 2nd inning. And then he was doubled up on a strike him out, throw him out play.
Off the end of the bat with the breaking ball.
So Kennedy had faced the minimum until this moment. It brings up Marwin Gonzalez getting a start at third base this evening.
This starts the ball rolling for these Astros.
Infield draws in double play depth at short and second. Team game, obviously, but you're hurt for guys when things just don't go right, and it's one of those nights.
So the game's hard enough as it is, and when you see things spiral out of control, you definitely feel the pain.
Breaking ball on the hands. Marwin with the big swing. Ian Kennedy's 2nd start on the season, and we've talked about it. He beat Minnesota in strong fashion. Everybody was talking about how good Kennedy was in that first outing, and I would say same thing for tonight. Very sharp. 10 hits to 1 on the night. KC on top of that one. I don't know. You know what's going on?
I don't know. That's a crew chief. He's been standing behind Ian Kennedy now. Noticed something. I'm not sure what he's pointing at.
Gary Cedarstrom is that crew chief out there at 2nd.
Whatever it was, Ian Kennedy had something to say, and now Cedarstrom's backing off. But
now that's really intriguing.
Going with the UL Washington look right there.
You got the toothpick going?
Yeah.
What about Dusty Baker? You forget about Dusty?
The first one I noticed when I was watching baseball was UL.
Yep. Fouled off by Marlon.
Going back to this conversation, I'm a little surprised Ned Yost didn't come out of the dugout, because usually the manager goes out there to protect their guy, get an understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, any sense at all as to what was going on there?
No, I couldn't tell if he was pointing at the mound or if he was pointing to the baseball or something on his uniform. Because from our angle, I don't see any.
No.
You know, usually you see some of the mud from the baseball rubbed off on the pants. Or
no mannerisms going to a wrist or to the neck or anything unusual. So yeah, I'm with you. On the 0-2, that fastball sails high. High heat has been really tough on the Astros hitters. And I mean even high in the strike zone.
Yeah.
So Carlos Gomez, who has been struggling so much with the bat, picks up the first hit against Kennedy. Marwin stays alive. See where Bryce Harper hit a grand slam today for the Washington Nationals to get to 100 home runs on his career.
Pretty dramatic way to do it. Expect nothing less out of that young man.
Boy, isn't that the truth.
How big was the bat flip?
Yeah, I didn't get to see the bat flip, but I imagine it was in grand fashion.
Pretty healthy one.
8th youngest player to get to 100 home runs.
He's impressive.
I'm actually surprised he's that far down that list. That on the hands, fouled back. 23 years of age, 181 days to go with it. Hall of Famer Mel Ott was the youngest ever. He was just 22 when he got to 100 home runs.
Gotta be kidding me. Not even gonna tell you what I was doing at 22.
I was, well, up and down, riding luggage racks in buses. And yeah, I hate to say it, in the minor leagues, if you could get a cozy spot under the seats or up in the luggage rack so you could ride out one of those lengthy all night long trips.
As awful as that sounds, it is so true.
It was life at the Ritz. In the air to center field, shallow. Kane coming on, and it's the shortstop Escobar with the great play. fires back to first and gets the double play. How about that?
Yeah, you deserve a tip of the cap right there, Alcides. Astros looking for a break, trying to drop in a second base hit in this game off Ian Kennedy. And Escobar bolts from his position at shortstop, puts his head down, understands Lorenzo's nowhere near it. Lays out, sliding, catching the ball over his shoulder, pops up and throws a dart to first base to double off Gomez.
Spectacular play.
Truly.
And if you put yourself in the spot of Carlos Gomez, you've got to get close enough to second base that if that ball drops, that you make it into the bag.
It is a tough call, but you would rather have the one out at second base
than the double
play getting doubled off.
When you're down 6-0, maybe you're thinking about we've got to get something going. It is one of those tough plays.
It's a very tough position to be in. I'm not trying to get on Carlos Gomez because that is in the middle of no man's land. Like you said, they're down 6-0, trying to make something happen.
Jason Castro, the 9-hitter at the plate, and now Ian Kennedy, despite the fact that he's yielded the base hit the first of the night for Houston, he's back to the minimum number of hitters. 2 double plays turned by the Royals.
Yeah, just a truly remarkable play.
Hit in the air right center field. Moving over and making the play on the run is Orlando. Only 3 hitters come to the plate in the 6th inning. So it's all KC tonight, 6-0 as we go to the 7th. Brownie coming back.
It is 6-0 Orioles leading the Astros. And the Geico quote of the day, AJ Hinch talking about Chris Davinsky before the game today, guys, saying he doesn't show a lot of fear, and I love how he attacks the hitters. That's what we saw last night. He did also say his velocity's up a little bit. It was up a little bit in the first couple of outings out of the pen, which makes his stuff play up. His changeup is real. You get some really funny swings. They're hoping for more right here. Back up to you.
Thanks, Julia. So it's Davinsky out there and trying to put a stop on this Kansas City club here in the 7th inning. After the Royals had the big inning in the 6th. 5 runs on 7 hits, sending 10 men to the plate. Alcides Escobar is in the box ready to go. Escobar 0 for 3 in this game.
It's probably a fight at the bat rack with the Royals right now.
Well, they can get into a feeding frenzy with the bats, can't they?
Yeah, we've tried every combination we can up here. Hopefully this one works out.
Exactly. We may have to buy a donut out here outside at the concession stand. Strike 1 for Devo, as they call him, Chris Davinsky. 3rd major league outing. Boy, the first 2 went really, really well. Now back-to-back outings for Davinsky. And we've been hearing about his resilient arm, so we're checking that out tonight. Struck out the side last night in the 9th inning, and he needed 13 pitches in that frame. He gets a foul ball there. 1-2. An interesting story about how Chris Davinsky had such good progress last year at Double-A, and then wound up winning that Triple-A championship game. Now finds himself in the big leagues. Things have happened quickly for Chris. At age 25. He got that one in for a strikeout.
It's a changeup again. Good look from behind to see that action, but the depth on it, just diving. A lot of emphasis on that middle finger, but the way, again, the way he falls off towards that first base side and the way it comes out of his hand is borderline. I mean, it really runs back towards those right-handed hitters.
Yes, it does. Moustakas is 1 for 3, a homer in the first. A strike one to Moustakas. So if you're right-handed batter, it almost looks as if he's delivering that from near the first base line, right? It's coming back at you from there.
Yeah, it is not a typical angle for a pitcher to be coming after you.
.93 miles per hour tonight. He was throwing mid-90s last night. 1 ball, 1 strike. That one just a shade inside, apparently. That makes it 2-1 for Chris Davinsky, working to Moustakas with Kane on deck.
And there's a good look at it. He's over on that first base side, too, so it's got to feel like he's coming out of that right hip pocket of Moustakas. One of those pitchers that really tries to create some angles to make it tough to pick up at home plate.
There's a walk.
Make memories at an Astros Sunday home game with family-friendly activities presented by Kroger. The first family Sunday of the season is this Sunday's game against the Tigers. For more info, visit astros.com/Sundays or call 1-877-9-ASTROS.
Brad Ausmus, who just had a birthday, bringing his Tigers in to start that series tomorrow night. Sunday it'll be Mike Fiers against Anibal Sanchez. Lorenzo Cain takes a look at it, and it's ball 1. Cain was credited with a single in the 6th inning. Initially, that was ruled an error on George Springer. Later changed, so that makes him 2 for 3 tonight. And that made all the runs, all 5 of them, earned. Otherwise, they all would have been unearned had that been an error. So it's a big change in a pitcher's ERA. But it's a difficult call for the scorer when a ball is lost in the lights.
It really is. You want to protect the pitchers as much as you can, but at the same time, when you watch the replay and there's no glove put on the ball, it's really tough for those scorekeepers to give the error.
Foul back. So it points out that not all earned runs are equal, right?
Yeah. But there were several behind that misplay in right field, unfortunately.
Right. And that's the other point, that pitchers would tell you it's on them after an error to pick up the club.
Yeah, and nobody feels worse than George Springer, too. I mean, it's, yeah, that's a bad feeling.
The shot to Marwin, that one's scalded for out number 2. Royals have had some good swings tonight. They had 10 hits.
Yeah, they really have. They've been locked in. Kind of stating the obvious, but they have been taking some good passes.
You know, we talk about unearned runs, Blummer, and I think more importantly, maybe we should talk about plays not made sometimes. Eric Hosmer has driven in a couple. He's 2 for 3 tonight. Towering fly, shallow left field. Marwin Gonzalez with the catch to end the top of the 7th inning. No runs, no hits, and a man left. And it's 6-0 Kansas City. Baseball on Root Sports is presented by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing too high. And by Lexus, the new 2016 Lexus ES and ES Hybrid. It's next level luxury. Kansas City 6, Houston nothing, bottom of the 7th inning, and the Royals have banged out 10 hits. The Astros just got their first hit from Carlos Gomez leading off the home 6th inning. Then he was erased on a double play on that excellent sliding catch by Escobar, and that means that Ian Kennedy still has faced the minimum through 6. Just 18 batters. He walked the leadoff man Rasmus in the 2nd, but Colby was erased on a 2-4 caught stealing double play. Tony Sipp working in the bullpen for Houston as Kennedy turns his attention to Jose Altuve leading off the home 7th. Altuve 0 for 2. Fly ball to center and a strikeout looking. That homer he hit last night was on a 94-mile-per-hour heater from Yordano Ventura, and he hit it up onto the railroad tracks. Very impressive swing. And the long home run he hit in Milwaukee, also a great swing of the bat for Jose.
Little man's got some pop.
He really does.
Quick hands, too.
Now, do you think that the strike zone judgment he's been working to improve is helping to get him a better pitch he can drive this year?
I'm not sure if Altuve needs to get better pitches to hit. He is such a good bad ball hitter to begin with that all he's going to do is put himself in better situations and force pitchers to throw strikes.
Right. That's out to right field and deep. Orlando backing. Orlando all the way back. That's in the bullpen. Altuve hits another bomb. Number 3 of the season for Jose, and his 2nd in as many nights. And the Astros are on the board, trailing 6-1.
I love it when Altuve listens to us, puts on a show when we're talking about him. Going Oppo Taco. Fastball down, does a great job of staying on it. Lets that ball travel just a little bit more on that outside corner and barrels it up nicely and launches it.
He really did. Took the ball a long way to the opposite field. George Springer is 0 for 2. Springer takes ball 1.
Man, turning on the power stroke early here in the season.
In for a strike from Ian Kennedy. 1 ball, 1 strike. So Kennedy has given up his first run of the year. 12 2/3 innings of shutout ball to start the season for Kennedy. 1-2. Back to that question though on Altuve with better pitch selection. In the past he would say, well, he can hit a pitch out of the strike zone and dribble it to third and beat it out for an infield hit. But if the pitch is in the strike zone, can he drive it further?
I think we're finding out.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
There's nothing wrong with finding yourself in a hitter's count. They're already, I would say that they're already, I wouldn't say afraid, but they understand that Altuve is a threat when he's at the plate just to get on base, period, like you're talking about. So they will nibble and maybe try and get him to chase early in counts. Maybe in talking to hitting coach Dave Hudgens, that maybe he said, if you understand that these guys are trying to get you to chase and you lay off those pitches to what you're talking about, you're going to bring those pitches back into the zone and force them to throw strikes. And when you do get the pitch you're looking for, you can do what he's been doing early and hammering them.
There's no doubt he has outstanding hand-eye coordination. But he walked more this spring. He took more pitches. So far, he has 4 walks and 6 strikeouts. That's pretty good balance for the first few days of the season. If he walks, he can steal a base. Pitchers know all these things. And it seems that he's getting just a little bit better, though. And that's hard to do with the bar being set so high by Jose Altuve.
And that's what I would almost said. It's amazing to me to watch a player like Altuve get better every year. I mean, he's starting off again saying that he's going to do a little bit more than he did last year. And the last 2 years, he's done phenomenal things at home plate.
Springer with a drive headed for foul territory down the right field line. Will stay at the plate with a 3-2 catch. So those guys who do what he's doing get a little bit better after winning a batting title. Those are the great players, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah, I think he's thrusting himself into that situation. Ash was talking about, I believe it's 6 years in the league now, 800+ hits. He has the ability this season, if he keeps hitting at the rate he is, he'll go over 1,000 this year.
That is phenomenal. Springer takes it, and it's ball 4. Second walk of the night for Kennedy. Now Carlos Correa is 0 for 2. Correa has 74 runs batted in for his career, and no Major League shortstop has ever had more through the first 108 games.
None in history.
0. Nada. Incredible. 2 fly balls to center field by Correa tonight. He looks at strike 1. The Astros would love to put up a big number here in the 7th inning, down by 5. Rasmus on deck.
Ooh, man. I think Carlos was looking on that outer third. Possibly a slider on that outside. Yep, got on the side of it. Man, you can see that look in his face. Knew he just missed that.
Yes, he did. Out into right center field. That will be Orlando coming in to play it on a bounce. He throws to second and gets the out. Force out on Springer from 9 to 6. It looked as if Orlando might have had a shot at catching it, and that's why Springer couldn't go full out into second.
Well, and we saw a play earlier with Carlos Gomez where he got doubled off. And just nothing coming easy for the Houston Astros. Not even base hits or base hits anymore. Unbelievable.
Yeah, base running dilemmas the last 2 innings now.
And in right field, with the right fielder coming in, that became a real short throw. But again, if Springer gets too far off that bag, it turns into a double play. So
Sure.
you sacrifice the 1 out instead of having 2 outs. But still, incredibly tough baseball being played right now.
Orlando turns it into an outfield assist, and Escobar turned into a first baseman with that stretch. Rasmus is 0 for 1 with a walk. Tyler White on deck. He fouls it for strike 1.
Our Lexus defensive rankings. Seems like a good time for it. You see Paulo Orlando with that red light, but still, that was a tough situation right there. That drop shot in front of him, played it nicely on a hop, made a good strong throw with his momentum going towards second base. But that the defense and pitching are what makes the Kansas City Royals so dangerous.
Very consistent club in both those areas. Danny Duffy, a lefty, is working in the bullpen. The count goes to 1-1 now on Rasmus. Yeah, and you know, as Al McGuire used to say when he was coaching Marquette, same is true in baseball as basketball pretty much. Offense is like the stock market with the ups and downs, but the consistent elements of the game you talked about, Blummer, that really drives the bus.
Absolutely.
Marquette, whoops, the ball's kicked away by Perez, but no advance. Wouldn't be prudent to try to run on that, because especially with his arm.
Yeah, you don't want to test it. That'd just be insult to injury right now. And as a base runner at first, you kind of lose the ball, and if you don't have a good angle or get a good jump, there's no reason to try and test it.
The ball hit his leg and then it hit the umpire, so Perez got a couple of assists there. Rasmus looks at it, it's a strike, and it's 2-2. Yeah, Marquette used to win those basketball games by scores like 55, 51. They just always played solid defensive basketball.
Networks love that.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy.
Yeah.
Pitch was about 1.5 feet outside.
Jim Wolf, the brother of former Astro Randy Wolf, is the home plate umpire. Randy would like to get those calls. And a strikeout. 2 down. That's number 6 for Ian Kennedy. Now Tyler White, he's 0 for 2. Well, speaking of Randy Wolf, we thought about you a few days ago in Milwaukee when we were talking about that game in 08, the Hurricane
don't do it to me.
game. And Randy Wolf is a starting pitcher. You fixed a flat tire that day, didn't you?
Yeah. Me and Dave Newhan. We were staying at Brad Osmus's place. We had to come back down here because our cars were here at Minute Maid Park. And in order for us to get back and pack our luggage and get back downtown for the flight, the only flight.
Only flight in Houston.
Yeah, and proceeded to get on the 59, and I felt something pop in the back of my car that I was in, pulled over, and sure enough, there was some shrapnel deep in that left rear tire, and me and Newhan sweating like crazy, changing a tire. Yeah, it was good times, Brownie. Good times.
Memorable time. And Randy Wolf, we took a cab from the Pfister Hotel to the ballpark in Milwaukee, and he related how he was a starting pitcher that night. We left that morning.
Yeah, this is a good story.
Yeah, we traveled to Milwaukee that day and played that. We never did that, right?
But did you hear? He was in a high-rise condominium type place and had to. There's no electricity.
No.
He carried his luggage down the stairs.
Yeah, with a flashlight because he was coming down about 7 in the morning and it was all dark. And so here's your starting pitcher.
Yeah.
At 7 in the morning, starting his day that way. And he's going to pitch against the Cubs that night.
And those poor Cubs got on a bus ride and moseyed on in with their fans to Millard Park.
Or Wrigley Field or whatever it was.
It was Wrigley Field North, I think, at the time. Yeah.
Yes. It was Wrigley Field North.
That was a good call by Doug Seelig.
1 ball and 2 strikes the count. 6-1 Kansas City. Preston Tucker is on deck. Yeah, Hurricane Ike created all kinds of havoc. The Astros home game moved. That was a crazy time. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
What's crazy about that no-hitter is I remember vividly that last pitch that Zambrano threw to Darren Erstad, and unfortunately it was Darren Erstad at home plate, but it was a split finger that just exploded out of the zone, and Ersty swung at it, and it was 1.5 feet. That might have been 3 feet outside. But you could just, the deflation and just that there was nothing left in any of us after going through that whole ordeal. Did you talk about the next day?
No.
Ted Lilly throwing a 1-hitter?
Oh, forgot about that.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
that scab's now open.
That started a 6-game losing streak, right? And that Astros team was in contention until Hurricane Ike displaced the club.
It totally did.
Swing and a miss by White. Strikeout number 7 for Kennedy. Ends the 7th inning. 1 run, 1 hit. Altuve goes deep. 6-1 Royals through 7.
here. Which outfielder would make the best catch, or makes the best catches, I should say. George Springer winning this one. We've seen some great catches from Springer since becoming an Astro a couple seasons ago. Oh, that one at Texas is always going. He robbed, who was that, Leonis Martin of a grand slam?
Yes.
That game turned out to be pretty important at the end of the year. Some other highlights from George Springer. Obviously a tough night for him tonight, but we know what he can do out there, guys.
Good memory. Leonis Martin robbed by that Springer catch of a grand slam, and then the Astros won it in extra innings. Tony Sipp is in the game now in the 8th. 21,203 the paid attendance for the finale of this 4-game series. Kendrys Morales the batter. He has an RBI double in 3 trips. There's ball 1. Tony Sipp has been coming out of that bullpen regularly here at the outset of the season. This is his 5th appearance in the first 10 games. Lefties 231 against him last year in the early going here. Switch hitting Morales takes a look at it. It's 1-1. So for the season for the Astros bullpen, Sipp is the first guy to appear 5 times. Will Harris and Giles and Neshek all have 4. Gregerson has 3. The outings have been pretty well evenly distributed. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Chris Davinsky tonight went an inning and a third, gave up 1 hit, no runs, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Doug Fister, 85 pitches, 52 for strikes. There's Altuve. He gave up 9 hits and 6 runs in 5 2/3. Still a 1 ball, 2 strike count, and the balancing act here for the Astros is, do they need a 13th pitcher, or are they okay with 12? And how is the Gaddis moving to part-time catcher going to affect the rest of the roster?
I think that's a quality question that we will only speculate on.
Yeah, we don't know.
But it does make it interesting, because most teams do like carrying that 3rd catcher just in emergencies. But
yeah,
again, seeing what we're seeing early on in the bullpen being used, yeah, AJ's doing a good job of spreading out the appearances, but at the same time, would you like to have that extra arm?
Yeah, and do you need a second lefty? Because Sipp is the only lefty in the pen. He gets a strikeout of Morales. Gordon has an RBI double. He's 1 for 3. Right now, Will Harris is very effective against lefty hitters. Could be in a way considered that second lefty, even though he's right-handed. But is that the way the manager would want to go full time? Well, we don't really know that. There's a strike to Gordon.
And it is early. Those things usually iron themselves out.
That's a looping fly ball and a hit into left center field. Gordon is 2 for 4. And you know, there's going to be a lot of roster change during the course of a season. That's a given, but yeah, that 13th pitcher is something that a lot of managers do want.
Well, I was going to say, it is a luxury to have that 3rd catcher, but at the same time, if you could add 1 more arm to that bullpen, increase that depth out there in that bullpen, or have guys that you can kind of, you know, mix into that starting rotation if you need a 5th pitcher that matches up with the team better than another guy, you know, those are things you got to think about.
Salvador Perez, the batter. Runner at first, 1 out. Perez has an RBI single in 3 tries. He leans back. He shot a glance out at Tony Sipp. There's ball 1. Time for a walk.
It's all right, kid. Keep that chin up. You'll be all right. He heard me.
Cute little fella. Popped up. And that's back behind the screen for a 1 ball, 1 strike count on Salvador Perez. The Royals head for Oakland. The Astros stay here and meet Detroit over the weekend. Monday's a travel day for the Astros, a day off, but they will be going to Arlington, Texas. They'll meet the Rangers there Tuesday through Thursday nights, and right back here next Friday for the Boston Red Sox. The Pablo Sandoval saga continues.
My goodness. They finally put him on the DL, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah. One place you might be able to hide him.
Well, you know, there are various stories on that. You probably read some today.
I've seen a couple of them, yeah.
One story indicating he may not be hurt.
Yep. That's good old phantom DL.
Right. And he may be just preferring not to be on the 25-man roster at this point because he has been benched.
Yeah, I read one report that said he just literally walked into the training room, said my shoulder hurts, I want to go on the DL, and I'm not sure how true that is. I hope it's a little bit different than the way it was portrayed, but there is definitely a disconnect between player and staff.
And there's the exploding belt scenario.
That is never a good thing, is it, Brownie?
No, and then, you know, obviously the best idea is to lose weight, but how are you going to do that if you're not playing every day, right?
Well, I hope he looks at it as an opportunity to take the time to maybe find a program that he can work within, maybe lose a little bit of weight, maybe. I'm just not sure. I just hope he finds a way to make an opportunity to turn things around and come back in a little bit better shape to help that ball club win. I don't want them to win, but I'm just saying help the ball club and not be a nuisance.
Yes, Rasmus at the base of the wall, and he's in for the catch. It's just not a good situation at all for the Red Sox. 2 outs. There is talk in some of the stories about maybe a trade, but he has 4 years.
How do you do that?
Hefty contract. Who would pick up that contract?
Good choice of words. It's hefty all the way around.
It's not only a hefty contract, you're right. Omar Infante is 1 for 4.
I read that same report about the trade possibilities, and I'm just trying to imagine a possibility that somebody outside of Boston would say, yeah, we'll take on that contract.
There'd be some serious examinations of that person. In the dirt. There's a block by Castro on ball 1. But nonetheless, the Red Sox are an interesting bunch right now. Very talented team.
They are. David Price into that mix is real nice.
Boston 4-4 coming into play today. Sip delivers, and that's a ball to make it 2-0.
They finally knocked off Baltimore.
Yeah, Baltimore
gave them a loss, right?
Yeah, first loss for the O's, but right now the O's are losing at Texas. Rangers got 5 in the 6th inning to go up 6-3.
Oof.
Rangers lost a tough one in the final at bat at Seattle last night.
Yeah, they did.
Liner out to right field. That's for the gap, and it's backhanded by Springer. Springer with an off-balance throw into Altuve. And with 2 outs, Infante keeps the inning going. 1st and 3rd now for Orlando. Now, this is game number 10 of the season. And you keep hearing from people, well, so-and-so's off to a good start. This guy's off to a bad start. 10 games. What's a start for you? What's a fair number to assess?
At least, you've got to get at least 100 at-bats under your belt for me.
Okay.
That's when you can really start trying to see where you're at. Because if you're playing every day, that's a 1/6 of your season. Basically a month worth of ABs. So you've got 25 games maybe under your belt. Should have a pretty good idea of where you're at. Because that's going to deal with maybe a little mini slump mixed in there, give you a chance to break out of it with a hot week, and then just kind of even things out and see where you're at.
1-0 to Orlando.
And I've played with guys in spring training who wanted 75 at-bats in spring training. I've played with guys who only needed, 15, 20 at-bats. They completely disregarded spring training.
Ryan Braun was one of those in that latter category. He only had about 12 or 15 this year. Came out raking.
Yep. Everybody's different.
1-1. Josh Fields warming up. There's the broken belt issue with the Panda.
And that's not zoomed in. That's actual size. Oh, man.
Boston fans cannot be pleased. Good play by Marlin. Spins around. Excellent effort as he gets the out at first on Orlando. Marwin Gonzalez slick at third base. No runs, 2 hits, 2 men left. Kansas City leads 6-1.
To the bottom of the 8th, and it's time to name that Astro. This is brought to you by your local Honda dealer. Here's your clues. Born and raised in New Haven, Connecticut. He was a high school teammate of an NHL Hall of Famer, and he played 19 years. Tweet us who you think this Astro is. We'll tell you here pretty shortly.
He might be headed this way pretty shortly. He could even be in town right now, Julia.
That's likely.
Is that likely? Okay. Oh, so we're narrowing it down. Yeah, she knows. She knows all these.
Yeah, she's ahead of the curve.
She cooked them up, in fact. In her spacious kitchen, she came up with all these trivia questions. Now we have a change on the mound. Danny Duffy, the veteran left-hander, takes over. Ian Kennedy in 7 innings. Allowed just 2 hits and 1 run, walking 2, fanning 7. He threw 97 pitches. Duffy in 3 games has a 2.25 ERA. He pitched in the opener of this series Monday night. And Jake Marisnick is the pinch hitter for Preston Tucker, leading it off. They strike 1. Tucker, the DH, was 0 for 2. Marisnick is 0 for 4. 0 for 1 as a pinch hitter for Jake. Danny Duffy, 27 years old, is from Goleta, California. Where's that, Blummer?
Where's that at?
Goleta.
Goleta?
Yeah. Any idea?
I'm saying Central California.
All right. He's from Central California.
Somewhere along Interstate 5.
Okay. That's about, what, 700 miles long?
Yep. Figured I'd try and narrow it down.
You did that. California's a big state. 1 and 2. And there's that famous gas pump out in left center field. You might use a lot of that traveling on I-5. A strikeout, 1 out. Danny Duffy was a 3rd-round pick of the Royals in 07. Homegrown player who stayed with them all these years. Wow, is that unusual? And he got the big reward. And they put a ring on his finger just a few days ago, Blummer.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He's been through a Tommy John surgery back in 2012. Facing Carlos Gomez, who's 1 for 2. And there's strike 1. Duffy started 24 games last year, pitched 6 times in relief during the regular season, was 7-8 with a 4.08. Versatile performer. Fonte to his right. Smoothly for out number 2. These first few days of the season, though, even though, you know, we're still in the first couple weeks, can produce some really exciting things, some unforeseen things, players we never heard of, like the Colorado Rockies shortstop. Crazy stuff, right?
It is crazy. It's an electric start.
And then, so Trevor Story hit all those home runs early. And the Giants came into Coors Field. Evan Gattis in the on-deck circle. And Trevor Brown, the Giants out-Trevored him. So he's hit 2 homers the last 2 games.
And that was a unique story how Trevor Brown got onto that San Francisco roster with a couple of injuries. I think it was Suzak.
Okay.
A couple of backup catchers went down a little bit, and then Trevor Brown just burst onto the scene and take advantage of that opportunity.
You bet. Marwin is 0 for 2. Flares one, and the first baseman comes over for it, Hosmer. It's a quick 8th inning, and it's 6-1 KC.
At the top of the 9th inning, Royals leading the Astros. It's time to check in and see how the Astros are playing to win. Brought to you by Toyota Tundra. It was relatively good early on. Fisher looked good. That sinker cutter curveball combination gave up the home run to Mike Moustakas to start, but battled out of a situation there and looked quite strong until this point right here. With 2 outs in the inning, George Springer unable to come up with that fly ball. And that's when the wheels absolutely came off. Fisher trying to do his best to get out of that jam that was created by that fly ball. Just didn't work out. Left some of those sinkers up, out over the plate. Hosmer, Morales, Alex Gordon. And this is what the Kansas City Royals do, is they take advantage of those opportunities. And what good teams do when you give them that extra out, they pile on. And that is exactly what they did, unfortunately, for Doug Fister.
Now it's Josh Fields in the game for the 9th inning. Alcides Escobar with a 1-hopper. Took a second bounce before it got to Marwin. Right over to first. 1 pitch, 1 out for Fields.
Our delivery of the game is brought to you by Jimmy John's. That's that home run I was talking about earlier. Kind of a lazy slider on that inner third. Moustakas turns it around. That got the scoring started in that first inning for the Kansas City Royals.
Josh Fields got out number 1 on 1 pitch. Now Moustakas, who is 1 for 3 with a walk, comes around for the 4th time, or 5th time rather. No decisions for Josh in 4 games. And the fastball's in tight, ball 1. So this Houston bullpen had worked a total of 30 innings in the first 9 games. Kansas City bullpen had worked 28. That's a hit. Toby Rasmus coming over as it goes along that wall into foul territory, and maybe a little leg burn. No, apparently not. Moustakas just easing his way up that first base line. Looked like he was limping a little bit, but that's an opposite field single for his 2nd hit of the night.
Little excuse me single right here.
Yes. He wasn't trying to do that, was he?
No, you can see the shock in his face. Right about here, he's like, oh, hey, gotta go. Hey, hits are hits.
You know, Blummer, he might have a little something going on. He's coming out of the game for a pinch runner now. Not that that would be an injury alert, but
he doesn't look comfortable coming off. You're right.
No, he looked like he was into a little bit of a limp before he got to the bag at first. So Christian Colon is the pinch runner for Moustakas. And Colon is at first with Kane, the batter. See if we can pick up something, Blummer.
Yeah, check it out. That excuse me. Oh my gosh, I got a hit. And then he takes off, and you see him. Yeah, he's pulling up. There is something going on. Hopefully, it's just a twinge of something.
Good fastball by Josh Fields. That makes it a 1-ball, 1-strike count. The Rangers are leading the Orioles 6-3. They're at the end of 7 in Arlington. Cole Hamels started that game. Mark Trumbo hit his 3rd homer of the year. Slugging Orioles do have some home run hitters.
Yeah, they put some guys in that lineup that will have a good time hitting in Camden Yards.
Dylan G and Chen Min Wong are the duo in the bullpen for Kansas City. Nolan Ryan fans taking a walk. They coordinated well tonight.
All right. Too bad the Rally Rainbows didn't work. Still time.
1-2 to Lorenzo Cain. Well, the quality of the Astros opposition here early is high.
Yeah, this month of April is no joke.
Now the Tigers come in with a 6-2 record next. Then the Rangers and a strikeout for Fields. Then the Red Sox. 2 outs in the 9th inning.
It's a good look at that curveball. Snap that one down from Josh Fields. Good job by Castro knocking that thing down with 2 strikes too.
Sure was. Eric Hosmer has 2 more hits tonight. 2 runs batted in with a 6th inning double. In that 5-run frame, it was tough for Pfister. You saw it on the highlights. He had 2 outs in the inning and a runner on first. Springer lost that fly ball hit by Kane in the lights, and then it just blew up on the Astros. 5 runs scored. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Just unfortunate. You hate to see things or plays like that affect the ball game the way it did today.
Stopped by Castro, and it's 2-1. Pfister had set down 13 in a row when that 6th inning started.
He settled in nicely. Even though the velocity really isn't there for Pfister, I think the height, trying to create that downward angle through that stretch, he had really good movement on that sinker.
There were a lot of positives during his outing. 2-2. And I think a guy like Doug Pfister, who's been around for a long time, would be accentuating those positives as he thinks about this start and gets ready for his next one.
Yeah, that's the problem with early in the season too. It's only his 2nd start, so there's not much history of the season so far. So there's only thing you're drawing from is the negative sometimes. So I agree with you. If he can go back, look at some of that tape and see what he did right.
Somebody throw a ball on the field.
I don't know. Cedarstrom's been on top of these pitchers a little bit. I'm not sure if it's how they're rubbed up or if he sees the pitchers doing something.
Okay. Broken bat. Correa Makes a good catch, tumbles and hangs on. Carlos Correa in left center field. Tremendous play. 6-1 Kansas City.
Astros LLC and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Houston Astros LLC.
Welcome back. Bottom 9. Astros trying to rally here, down 6-1. The fans have spoken, and now we get to name that Astro, brought to you by your local Honda dealer. He was a high school teammate of an NHL Hall of Famer, played 18 years. Born and raised in Connecticut. It's Brad Osmus. You guys were talking about him earlier. And yes, he is in town with the Tigers.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Brad's birthday today.
Evan Gattis, pinch hitting, smacks the first pitch. And there's his first hit of 2016 in the big leagues for Evan Gattis, who started the year in the minors on that rehab assignment at Corpus Christi. Evan started last season 0 for 23. He had been 0 for 4. So he's off to a much better start in 2016, Blum.
So he's going to be much better than last year. Finished up pretty strong last year.
Well, that's a good way to get it going. Gattis was pinch hitting for Jason Castro, who was 0 for 2. That's hit number 3 for the Astros. Jose Altuve ripped a home run to the right center field bullpen of the Astros. He's 1 for 3. Springer on deck. Fouled away, strike 1.
Just like we promised, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Only run that Ian Kennedy has allowed all season was off the bat of Altuve, showing the power stroke early on in this season. This time going to the opposite field gap into that Astros bullpen.
Wade Davis is warming up, the Royals closer. 0-2 to Jose Altuve.
Think they respect the Astros offense at all?
Yeah.
Getting their closer up in a 5-run lead?
They do. He's probably the most rested reliever they have right now, other than the 2 long guys, G and Wong, who were warming up last inning. Out into right center field. Kane going for it. Altuve will keep going to second. Here's the throw, and he has another double. Number 4 of the season. Gattis to third, second and third, nobody out. And he ran the 0-2 pitch hard into right center.
Great piece of hitting. Fastball away, and that's what Altuve's doing. He's taking pitches where they're giving him, and he's driving them. He's not just going for the base hits these days. He's looking to barrel up and get those extra bases. And we talked to him earlier before the game. He wants those doubles. He is thinking double immediately out of the box, no matter where that baseball is.
George Springer will be the batter. Dave Island, the pitching coach at the mound. That's 4 doubles for Altuve, 3 homers. That's the Astros. This is the Astros' first at bat with a runner in scoring position tonight. Springer lined to third. He flied to center and he walked. And now Duffy and Salvador Perez will talk it over. Yeah, it was interesting to hear Altuve's thinking last night on his second double of the game. That was in the 7th inning. He said he looked out there and he saw that Lorenzo Cain was shading him toward right center. Hit the ball just to the left of second base, and he knew that with Cain having to run that far, he would have an excellent chance to get to second base, and he did. He forced a high throw.
So great to hear talented athletes like that using the mental part of the game, kind of seeing where the defense was before the at-bat.
Springer takes ball 1. Luke Hochevar has pitched in the last 2 games, and so has Kelvin Herrera. Guessing that Ned Yost wants to stay away from both of them. Joaquin Soria got the save last night. He's pitched in the last couple games as well. So that's why the closer's warming up, at least in part.
Yeah.
2-0. We might be doing more than warming up here soon if Springer gets into one.
Part of the beauty of this Astros lineup, they live and die by the home run, and if they have base runners on, scores can change rather quickly.
Springer looks at it. It's a strike. 2-1 from Danny Duffy. He's the only lefty in the Royals bullpen right now. Now 3-1 to George Springer with Carlos Correa on deck.
Now 2-0, we saw Duffy throw the fastball to George Springer. 3-1 count is similar to that 2-0 count. If I'm George, I'm nice and relaxed, hands are loose, and I'm looking for that heater. You've got Carlos Correa on deck. The last thing Duffy wants to do is face bases loaded in Carlos Correa.
Springer fouls it. 3-2. How'd you do on that swing?
Right idea, pretty aggressive hack. We've seen some extremely large hacks from George Springer, but the one we saw in spring training was under control. George isn't one of those guys for me that needs to generate power. The power is within him. It's just being consistent and getting the barrel to the ball. But if he had connected on that one, good grief, that would have gone a long way.
3-2 pitch is next. Springer strikes out. 1 out. 14th time George Springer has struck out this season. That's his 40th at bat.
That was bringing the heat from Danny Duffy just off that outside corner. Sometimes when you're pressing a little bit, that strike zone expands.
Correa is 0 for 3. Duffy in his 1 inning Monday night gave up 1 hit and 1 run. An RBI triple to Springer. Bouncer in the hole. And here's a long jump throw and safe at first with a run scoring. Now 6-2. RBI single on the infield for Correa. His 7th run batted in.
Correa's shown another one of those tools, speed being one of them. Does a good job of putting this ball in play. Credit Alcides Escobar for getting there and putting a pretty good jump throw on that play to make it close at first, but the speed of Correa easily beats that out.
Pitching change, that's it for Duffy. With runners at second and third, and now a 4-run lead. Correa had crossed the base when that throw got to Hosmer. It now becomes a save situation, and the closer will come in with a 4-run lead. 6-2 Kansas City. Back in a moment. Kansas City, the closer comes in, Wade Davis. And Davis has not allowed a run to the Houston Astros since the 2011 season when he was a starting pitcher. As a reliever, just lights out. 1-0, 3 for 3 in saves this year, an ERA of 0, but he had a 33-pitch outing Tuesday. Really struggled with a couple of walks, but got a big strikeout to end the game. 3-2 Kansas City.
Yeah, command was the issue, and the Astros did a good job of getting him into those 3-2 counts. A couple of walks, a lot of base runners just weren't able to capitalize. Eventually, you hope there's still a little bit of a hangover from that.
Davis said in one of the articles that it's his typical early season struggles, just wasn't sharp with his control. And now as he comes in, he has runners at first and second, 1 out, facing Colby Rasmus. Colby 0 for 2 with a walk tonight.
I believe in that same article there was a dead arm comment from Wade Davis. He said that, like you said, he said it's usual early in the season.
Well, since the start of last year, Wade Davis is 20 of 21 in save situations, second best in the majors during that time for those who have had that many save chances. In his last 9 outings against the Astros, he's given up no runs. And it's Rasmus. Ball 1 from Davis.
Colby would like to work himself into a count where he could get something straight from Wade Davis, because Colby's been doing a good job of driving fastballs here early on in this season.
Davis misses, falls behind 2-0. Davis was the setup man for Greg Holland, who is missing this season after surgery. So Wade at age 30 now taking over as the end of the line in the Kansas City bullpen. What a year last year, an ERA of 0.94. In 69 games, an 8-1 record. Popped up, back into the seats.
That was that fastball Colby was looking for.
Davis struck out George Springer. It was a cut fastball at the end of the game 2 nights ago.
Yep.
That's a wicked pitch for him.
Yeah, it really is 3-2, and especially on that inside corner.
Davis also was 17 for 18 in saves last year. He threw only 16 strikes in 33 pitches 2 nights ago. Tyler White's on deck. Now 3-1 to Rasmus. Davis was drafted in the 3rd round in 04 by Tampa Bay, a native of Lake Wales, Florida. Kansas City got him in a big trade, along with James Shields, Will Myers, Jake Odorizzi, and others involved in that deal. In for a strike. Now full count on Rasmus.
That's that cutter you're talking about, Brownie. He was pretty comfortable going to it. You see him just getting on the side of that fastball. This creates a little bit of a wrinkle, and it throws the hitter's eyes off. By the time you recognize it's in the glove for a strike.
Altuve at second, Correa at first. The Astros have been out hit 13-5, and they still have a chance.
Another 3-2 count with Wade Davis on the mound. Does he go to the cutter again?
Foul ball, wow. It's almost to the catcher's mitt.
We should all be so lucky to have dead arm and still throw 96 miles an hour. Good grief.
He does not look debilitated in any way, does he?
No. Unless dead arm means lose command a little bit, that's about it. All he's dealing with right now.
Yeah. Kane shades toward right center field on Rasmus. Colby smacks one foul way out in front of that pitch.
There's that cutter on the inside corner. Colby did a good job of bringing the hands in, fighting that off. It's about all you could do with this pitch unless you decide to destroy your bat and keep it fair. Just hands. Ooh, got that head out in a hurry.
Really quick. Another 3-2. Ground ball, double play ball. Infante gets it to shortstop Escobar. Turns it into a 4-6-3 game-ending double play. The Astros settled for 1 run on 3 hits. And Kansas City takes 3 of 4 in this series. Final score 6-2. Ian Kennedy going to 2-0. Doug Fister, the loser, 1-1. Wade Davis getting save number 4 in 2 hours and 41 minutes. Kansas City wins its 7th against 2 losses. Houston goes to 3-7 to open the season with a Kansas City win 6-2.